Welcome into the Gramlich and Mac Lane podcast presented by Ingles, the official supermarket of Gramlich and Mac Lane. Mac, our season previews. We roll on. We have 17 teams now to discuss in the ACC, so we got to keep releasing these episodes. If you missed earlier this week, we hit all the North Carolina schools. We hit NC State and Wake. To start the week, Duke and North Carolina talked with Tom Luganbill, who was at Duke's camp, so he gave some good insight. And now we're going to travel 3,000 miles out to the Bay Area and talk Cal and Stanford. Mac, you had some interactions with both of these teams' GMs because this is a whole new world that we're in these days at ACC kickoff. So excited to get into that and get into Cal and Stanford. It's still kind of weird, right? Like I hope Cal and Stanford fans are joining us here, but it's still kind of weird to talk about them in the ACC.
No, it definitely is. And it's so weird, to be honest.
And they know it. I'm sure they feel weird too. Like
I'm sure they do. You know. I'm sure they do. It's always fun to talk to people though, right? And so it was great at Media Day, seeing them, and it's just a weird world that we're in. You mentioned GMs, and we'll talk about that more in depth, but who the heck would have thought 5 years ago Ron Rivera and Andrew Luck would be at their alma maters as general managers, and they would be in the ACC. I mean,
nobody. That's a Mad Lib. Like, that doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense. It's the most bizarre thing. But it was awesome to meet them, and it was great to talk to them. And it was great to talk to Coach Wright. He's there. He's with Stanford, and he was amazing. It was really fun to talk to him, and of course, just everybody that both schools brought. So I think we start with Cal, today, and kind of jump into the Bears. And listen, when you look at their depth chart, you pull up their our lads. If you use that to look at depth charts, there's a lot of new faces, a lot of new people. In particularly, losing your quarterback that was, crying on the field, driving down with his boys, making game-winning plays, and then, took the bank card to Indiana. I think he's in Indiana. Which is crazy there. And then, of course, the defense too. Like, there's a lot of new names. We could go through and count. I think it's 40, 30 plus. New people, for the Stanford team. So a lot of new faces. You hope that culture's strong enough to, continue to kind of bleed out and kind of resonate throughout the team. But it's going to be a whole new looking squad that runs out there, KG.
It's really tough. And I know Cal and Stanford are both trying to invest and compete in this whole new world. But it's really tough, specifically when you look at Cal. You lose Fernando Mendoza, like you said, to Indiana. You lose Jade Knott to Oklahoma. I mean, Jade Knott is, I think, going to be a pretty big star for Oklahoma this year.
Maybe. I mean, we kind of thought that and never happened.
He got hurt.
Just never.
3 of their
worked.
top 4 wide receivers left. Like it felt like an exodus for Cal offensively in the spring. So that's an issue they have to deal with. And now, again, it's like a Mad Lib. You're just filling in names. Ex-Auburn head coach Brian Harsin is your offensive coordinator. He was on staff with Justin Wilcox at Boise State under Chris Peterson way back in the day when Boise was in its heyday. And then Ron Rivera is your GM. I mean, you're just naming people. Like, you're just throwing names at the wall, and that's what you got.
Devin Brown, your quarterback, former Ohio State. I mean, it is bizarre. It is bizarre.
And this defense was very good last year. You hope, I mean, they lose some pieces, but they have K. Dulave back. Like, you hope the defense can still be very good. Yeah. Offensively, there's a lot of questions. Is it Devin Brown, the transfer from Ohio State? Is it, and I wrote down the phonetic pronunciation here, Eric McLean, Jaron Kiave Sagapotelli, the 4-star freshman from Hawaii, who they're really excited about?
You said it earlier, was not that good. That was great. You just killed that. And I will say, Coach just, we were like bringing it up on set at Media Day, and Coach was like, just Jaron's cool. That's what we call him.
I love that. That makes a lot of sense. Sounds like DJU, not necessarily career-wise, but, it makes sense there. So they've got some exciting, options there. Maybe they start with Devin Brown, and maybe they give Jaron a shot at some point. But obviously the offense needs to improve, Mac, and there's so many new names on this roster.
Yeah, here's the trend of this episode. I don't know if getting better's in the cards this year, and both these teams
better than 6-6, basically. Like, that's what Cal was last year, lost the bowl game.
I mean, probably not. I don't know if you're getting to that this year. And both of these teams, when you look at the media projections, were at the bottom of the deal there. I think Stanford and Wake were at the very bottom, and then Cal was not too far behind. So That's kind of the expectation. And, can you go out there and compete? Can you go out there and be physical? And I know that's what they want to do, and everybody does. But do you have the guys? I don't know. But one guy I do know about is Cade Olave over at the linebacker position, a guy that has been a monster, gotten better every single year. And you kind of ask, like, how has he gotten better? And because you saw him, win freshman of the year, defensive freshman of the year, a couple of years ago, was really consistent last year. But now coach has said, like, it's just his recognition and knowing where to go and playing super fast. Because before it was just see ball, get ball, bam, downhill in a hurry and making plays. And he was great. He was really good at it. But now it's like anticipating and knowing and getting other guys in the right spot, not just worrying about myself. And so how much does that matter? I'm not saying he's Luke Kuechly, but Ron Rivera introduced him. They had some meetings, and there's some similarities in their game. And so, talking with that, is Luke now going to be a mentor for him? And can he help take his game, to another level, like I just kind of explained there? Because that is revolutionary for a defense if you can have a guy that can know what's going to happen and get you in the right spot. So that'll be interesting to kind of see with Cal. And then, like you said, just offensively, who you're going to be. Do you lean on a guy that's a veteran that has some snaps that, was used in some packages at Ohio State, never really the guy? Or do you go to the talented young freshman that, are you afraid you're going to lose him if you don't? It's a weird spot, how you're really going to handle this and for Cal, what they want to be moving forward.
Yeah, and Mac, you mentioned the two GMs that you were able to speak with in Charlotte, Ron Rivera and Andrew Luck. It seems two different approaches. I mean, what did you gather from Ron Rivera, the GM of Cal football?
Yeah, no, it was two dramatically different, approaches, similarities for sure. But when you kind of heard it, it seemed more like, Coach Rivera was there in very administrative, supportive role, kind of understands and doesn't want to overstep boundaries. Will certainly give opinion. That's what he's there to do. But in the heat of the moment, maybe not, and maybe be a little removed. And will he be up in a suite? Will he be up in a box? Will he have other, kind of game day responsibilities, helping with fundraising? More of an administrative type of feel to me. Is kind of like a Woody McCorvey at Clemson, if any Clemson fans are watching, with, kind of the things that he does for Coach Dabo Swinney. And that was really cool. And I think having a guy like that and being able to speak to him, which, I like Ron Rivera a lot. He was here, for us locally with the Panthers and, was a great coach there and just a man that, there's not many. I know everybody loves their coach, but there wasn't many that spoke about their NFL coach the way Panthers players spoke about him, from a man. Just all that stuff was really cool. So I'm excited for Cal to have that. And, just kind of talking with him, it sounded like the way it happened is that he's talking with, the president, AD, whoever it was, and they're just kind of discussing this role. What would a general manager be? And, Ron, Coach Rivera, as diligent as he is, he's going through and he's making notes and he's writing down and he's laying it out for him. And it was like a day later, the guy calls back and says, so do you want to do that? You want to come over? And he didn't have any clue. He didn't know that, that's kind of what they were thinking. And so I love that. I love that he's there, hoping and really thinking that he'll be able to make a difference for his alma mater. Is that financially? Is it going out and getting it? Is it knowing what the product should look like? We'll see. But super excited that he's back. And on the other side with Stanford, you've got Andrew Luck. And that is like, it's Andrew's Luck program. Like, it's his, and he's running it almost like the head coach. And, the general manager spot there is fundraising, coaching, meetings, recruiting. Like, he's the one going out. He basically said, because, coach that's there now, Coach Wright, is going to be the interim, like, for a year. We know that. That's just, it is what it is. He's going to be the interim. And they're going to move to another direction. And he's doing like a favor for Andrew, which is really cool to kind of hear that. But one of the bigger selling points that Andrew kind of made seem like is, I'm the one doing the recruiting. The head coach gets to be the head coach, gets to worry about football. Super different from anything I've ever heard, in the college realm. And is that appealing to a big NFL guy, a big NFL's, OC or something of that nature? Maybe. I'm fascinated to see all that works and how that is going to transition. But, talking with Andrew Luck, who, I didn't grow up. We're not that much different in age, but I love the Colts, so I love watching him. And then Ron Rivera. That was neat to be on set with both those guys and get to interact and talk to them.
And those are some big names involved with these programs.
Yeah,
like that's a positive. Okay, I want to get to more about Andrew Luck and Stanford because I think that's all so interesting. Let's finish up Cal here with win total at 5.5.
Okay.
They went 6-7 as we said last year. The schedule is interesting. You open at Oregon State, so for ACC pride, you need to win that one. Also host Minnesota in the non-conference. What was really interesting to me was their final stretch. 3, and it's always tougher for Stanford and Cal when you say X number of games on the road, because we all know what that means. 3 of their last 5 on the road, from October 24th to the end of the year. At Virginia Tech, which is always a tough place to play. Host Virginia. You go at Louisville. You got to buy in there. At Stanford, I know that's across town, but still on the road. And then host SMU. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to hit this 5.5, I mean, you need to win some games early, Mac.
Yeah.
The real question is, can Cal go 6-6 again? I just feel like there's so many question marks on offense with all the guys leaving. Mm-hmm. I would tend to lean under here.
Yeah. And I think there's question marks everywhere. But I think the reason that you can feel a little bit better about that defense is because of Cade, as we spoke about earlier, how good he is. And it's like a known commodity. We know what we're going to get in that, which is very good. Very, very good. So I totally agree with you. And you're just looking at it at Oregon State. Don't know anything about Oregon State. Texas Southern win. Minnesota, tough game. It's just a physical team that has great coaches and things of that nature. Is that a loss? Not sure. At San Diego State should be a win. And then you start conference play, like you said. And it's not the most brutal conference schedule, because there is no Clemson, there is no Miami, there is no Florida State. So when you just think about those physically daunting type of teams, but Louisville is on there. You have to go to Virginia Tech, Duke, who we think is going to be really good, and SMU. So it's tough. I think, what's the number? What's the total that you had?
5.5. Basically, will they go 6-6?
I think I'm going under. I just think they're going to be a little bit down this year. And here's the deal. This freshman quarterback might come in and light it up and be really, really good, which would be great. But it's kind of the guessing game and risk reward. What do you think is going to happen? There's too many unknowns for me to feel good about giving them 6+ wins.
Mac, let's move on here to Stanford. And you mentioned that stuff you were saying about Andrew Luck is super interesting.
Yeah.
Because, could that be a new model where someone like Andrew Luck is the GM, they handle a lot of the CEO stuff, a lot of the recruiting, whatever, and then the coach can just coach like that. And then I also think it's crazy that, and not crazy, I get it, that Frank Reich is kind of like your interim. I don't know what that does for recruiting or what it does for this season.
No.
There's just
what they
a lot of
said
interesting
was,
stuff.
Yeah, because I kind of brought that up because I was so fascinated by it.
Yeah.
And he said literally the pitch is like, you're committing to Stanford, like, and I'm gonna be here. Like, Andrew Luck, am making, and that's why it was such a interesting vibe of like, well, why don't you just be the head coach, Andrew?
Maybe he will eventually.
He won't. Like he pretty much said he wouldn't. Not that he doesn't want to, but he won't. I think he likes the GM role, and I think that there's some real, juice to what they're doing. Obviously, the school is bought into it, and they think that it's a really cool model. So I think that that's kind of the pitch is that like Andrew's handling this. You're committing to him, as if he was that head coach, and he's going to bring in somebody great. So we'll see. It is such a fascinating thing. And then I think when you look at them, they have some returners. It's not as highlighted when you're looking at a bunch of new faces, and how do they just continue to progress? And I think the trend, with everybody that you talk to, from Andrew Luck to the head coach to the players, was we want to be back to being that physical football team when Andrew and company were there, when they were winning games, that it just was, it's a little bit different when you play us. You're used to spread and high flying around and finesse. And when you play us, it's power and it's right, slam, up the middle and things of that nature. And so How do you do that? How do you recruit to get that? I think they've eased some of the requirements to help with getting different guys in, which is certainly a big thing and a big deal. So, we'll see. There's some names and some people on this roster that you think can take a step and that you're excited about.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Now, I want to say this about Stanford. I was going to just throw these out there, not to rain on Stanford's parade, more just these two stats were pretty shocking to me because, like you said, Mac, when we grew up, like Stanford was good every year.
Yeah.
They were good every year. They're going to win 10 games and they were going to be in the mix.
Right.
They're coming off a fourth straight 3-9 season. That was hard for me to believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then Stanford's last bowl game was 2018.
Man,
that is
crazy
7 years ago.
Yeah.
The Sun Bowl. That was, I believe, when Christian McCaffrey opted out. And it started kind of the whole.
That's what started it all.
Saga.
Thanks, Christian.
Yeah. So
no, I think that was 2016, I believe. But yeah.
Okay, so maybe it was Bryce. Did Bryce Love opt out? I'm sure Stanford fans could tell us. But yeah, that was the last. Yeah, you're right, because McCaffrey was a finalist with Deshaun Watson and everything.
Yeah.
But just a whole different world for Stanford than what they used to be, and like you said, trying to get back, Mac. The Ashton Daniels has transferred. It looks like it's an Elijah Brown, Dylan Risk. I don't know how to say his last name. Ben Goldbrinson. Like it's definitely a competition at quarterback. They've got to run the ball better. They really couldn't run it last year. Sam Roush is a really talented tight end that I know they're all excited about. But it's so weird when you look at Stanford last year. Like they had a bunch of bad losses, but they beat Syracuse and they beat Louisville. Those are two really good wins in the ACC from last year.
Baffling. But you hope that, again, I'm saying baffling because it was a pretty bad thing that happened, to Syracuse. To
it was
Louisville.
Not good for the ACC, but good for Stanford.
It was not good for the league, but it was great for Stanford. And hopefully they can build upon that, like you said. And, I think Elijah Brown will probably be the guy, if you remember, and if you guys listening remember, and probably some of you know if you watch Stanford, Elijah Brown was listed as the most important recruit since Andrew Luck. And so, can he step into being that? Can Andrew tutelage or tutor him into that, that kind of final form there? I like the running backs in Ford and Davis there. I thought as true freshmen that they did well, at times, and you need help, right? You need guys to pave the way for you. You need the offense to run smoothly, things of that nature. And as you mentioned with Sam, that's kind of the nucleus you need. Everything else, let's figure it out. But, we kind of have four playmakers there that we feel pretty good about. And can they get back? We'll see. I like that Andrew's there. I like the buy-in and the alleged support from the university. And, we'll see. We'll see what they can get to and what that team looks like.
I'm sorry, Stanford fans. I do have one more stat. That was absolutely mind-boggling. So please don't turn us off. The defense gave up 33.7 points per game last year. The only teams in Power 4 that were worse, Mississippi State, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, and Purdue. So not great. The defense, obviously, let's just hope by just it being a new season gets better, Mac. And Stanford also started camp super early because they're opening week 0. They're opening at Hawaii on August 23rd. Then they have a break bye week. Then they're at BYU. And that stretch, once they get to their October, you've got at SMU, Florida State, at Miami, Pittsburgh, at North Carolina, and then Cal, Notre Dame back-to-back. So the win total's at 3.5. Basically, can they go 4-8 is what we're asking. Can you win at Hawaii? You should. At BYU, I mean, that's not a gimme.
No, that's tough.
Can you beat San Jose State at home? Yes. I'm not sure, Mac. I don't want to lean under on a 3.5, but
wow.
You know what? Let me just have some optimism. There's luck in the air. Andrew Luck there. Let's go 4-win Stanford. Like, come on. Let's go the over here.
Who's the fourth win?
Why are you asking me that?
No, I want to know. Let's do it. We can do it together. We'll say Hawaii.
I mean, BYU lost their quarterback. Let's say they beat Hawaii. I'm still not sure they go to BYU and win. Let's say they beat San Jose State.
Okay, that's two. Two more. Where are they coming from?
They beat Pitt at home. And they beat Cal at home? I don't know. I don't think they beat Pitt. Okay, maybe I'm going under, Mac. Maybe you talked me out of it.
I'm sorry that I talked you into
the BYU game could be the swing. Could be the swing game.
I think BYU's going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going under for sure. You just got to see it. You got to see more.
I was trying to be optimistic.
Yeah, no, I'm proud of you, but I just wanted to know what it was. Pitt.
It's funny because when you say, okay, I'll take the over, then you say, where are the wins? I'm like,
gotta go. Yeah, I'm there too, though. I think it's under. I think it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And go prove us wrong. It's not hard to do. Just go win 4 games. Go do it. And
but I do love that Andrew Luck is so involved in this program. I think that is such a positive for Stanford. Sure. Now, how does it work? We'll see, but that's good news overall.
No doubt. And hopefully it will continue to build and they can be the team we think they can. So anyway, that's it for this episode. We're going to be rolling next week, guys. We're going Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Get excited.
2 weeks in a row, full weeks. I can't wait. It's going to be a ton of fun. These are always great. We have some great coaches joining us. We have some great guests joining us the rest of the way here. And when this is done, it's going to be game week, so we're just sprinting through. So appreciate you guys always. Appreciate our friends over at Ingles for everything they do for us, everything they do for this podcast. They've been such a great partner to us, and appreciate you guys subscribing, jumping in, leave some comments, tell us your thoughts on Stanford and Cal here. Are we being rude, or is that just is what it is? Yeah. Sorry, love them, but low win totals here, and I don't know what that's going to look like. So appreciate you guys always. We'll see you next week. Until next time, we'll see y'all.
Did you know that Ingles sells more organics than any other store? Or that they run their own dairy? Or that they only serve USDA choice and prime meat? Did you know that they have more local craft beer than any place else? Or that they have Energy Smart stores? Or that they professionally slice and package imported cheese from Europe? Did you know about their giant international aisle, local farm partnerships, curbside pickup, wine department? Or that they donate 3,956 meals a day to local food banks? Well, now you do. It's all in the bag. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.